Hey YouTube, I'm your host Kurt Brown. This is the Watch Factor and you're in the news. In today's episode, I want to take a look at the watch brand Bulgari, who just came out with the recent release of their latest version of the Octo Finissimo, the Ultra, which is being touted as the world's thinnest watch. Today on the Watch Factor. Now, if you're an avid enthusiast of all different types of brands, then it'll come to no surprise that Bulgari is continuing to drive its latest edition of the Octo Finissimo, this time hitting another record, which I believe is number 8 for the brand, coming out with what they believe to be is the world's thinnest watch. An impressive 1.8 millimeters in total. Yes, in total, which is crazy. But something that's interesting in the design element for this model compared to the past is the utilization of what appears to be a QR code. Yes, that's right, a QR code. Now, at first glance, I thought, what the heck is going on with the designers and the team? Why are you going down this path? But by taking a closer look and doing some research, began to uncover a unique connection that the brand is starting to branch out on as it relates to technology. And I'll tell more about it further in the video today. But what I like to also call out is that this is the celebration of the 10th anniversary of Bulgari's Octo Finissimo lineup, which has again accounted for well over 8 different world records since its inception. So let's take a look and talk about all of the different records that it's held. Now, what's so impressive about looking at the collection of the Octo Finissimo lineup by Bulgari is not so much just their design cues, but the fact that they really focus in on making their movements as small and as thin as possible, increasing the light weight of the watch, but also challenging the engineering capabilities of their team to be able to still build robust movements and parts that are needed to make the watch operate. So if we take it all the way to the beginning, we start off at 2014, where Bulgari releases the Octo Finissimo tourbillon, touted as the thinnest tourbillon to ever be created. Then, 2 years later in 2016, they released their first version of the Octo Finissimo minute repeater. A beautiful watch, very clean, very subtle, but to have the ability to have access to that minute repeater and that chime, totally impressive. Then, in 1 year later, they returned in 2017 with the Octo Finissimo Automatic, a lower priced version of some of their higher end movements that is well received and rave reviews by everyone. Over the course of the years, they've received Red Dot Awards, a GPHG recognition for their design elements and the style of watches that they have been creating. So in 2018 at Basel World, Bulgari releases the Octo Finissimo Tourbillon Automatic. Now, this watch takes a totally different design element from the previous models that have been released so far, because it's using what we would call like a one case or a monocue kind of case design, right? And so in this design, you get to see all of the inner workings of the watch as a component of the actual dial itself. A beautiful watch, a limited edition watch that well exceeded over $150,000. I believe somewhere around $177,000. But again, another way of showing that this brand not only being heavily involved in jewelry design, but is to be recognized as a serious watchmaker. And again, holding a new world record for the thinnest tourbillon automatic movement. In 2019, Bulgari releases their first GMT version of the Octo Finissimo. Then, in 2020, they decide to just run with it. They release a tourbillon chronograph automatic movement that is also touted as the world's thinnest movement to ever be created. And lastly, in 2021, they released their first perpetual calendar. A number of beautiful pieces that year after year continue to receive awards and accolades, but also hold that world record as being some of the thinnest ever made watches that we've seen. As of this year, they decide to go and create another limited edition, extremely small run of about 10 pieces. And this is the Octo Finissimo Ultra Thin that has a very unique and distinct QR code kind of engraved on the barrel that you see on the top side of the watch. So let's dig into what makes this watch interesting and probably desirous of those higher end collectors to try to bring one into their collection. Now, would you ever think that you would see or hear in a conversation metaverse and watches? Probably not. But as we know, for a lot of watch brands, thinking about how they can extend their reach, connect with other audiences, build new interests is really all about collaboration. And why not look at the digital world or this metaverse world as a potential partner that can continue to extend your brand and your reach for future collectors? And that's exactly what Bulgari did. So, per the research, it appears that the QR code gives you access to a number of bits of information that could be valuable. There is tutorial information about the creation of the watch that can be unlocked leveraging the QR code. There is 3D versionings of the watch that you can find, artwork that's exclusive to the watch, and a way for Bulgari to ensure that there is a direct connection to the owner who purchases the watch and the specific limited edition number that you own. Now, I'm definitely an advocate for introducing technology and challenging ourselves with how we can connect technology with the watch brands. But I will say I did think that it was a little bit of a miss on Bulgari's part of leveraging the face of the watch to be the focal point for the engraving on the barrel for this new type of technology. What I do see, though, that I would give them points in my humble opinion is when we talk about security of watches, when we talk about the volume of watches that are stolen, when we talk about right now in our economy where we're seeing jewelry stores and watch dealers being unfortunately robbed or property being stolen, leveraging some type of QR code technology to a watch that can quickly indicate a watch has been stolen or who the owner of a watch is, I do think has much promise, and I can see this technology evolving. Right now, I'm still unsure of the connection to the metaverse and how that creates a unique experience for a watch owner to choose to want to buy this model. I just haven't seen a whole lot on the internet that justifies or kind of talks to more of what that experience could be. So we'll have to kind of wait and see if this evolves. I do think Bulgari was smart in making it a limited run. 10 pieces, you can't go wrong there. I don't know if this will ever be a mass-produced type of model, but again, I can see that QR code and the use of that technology finding its way in other pieces. I think back in the day, even Rolex was keeping a database that would talk about who's the owner of certain watches, and you could leverage reaching out to their service area if a watch became stolen. So maybe this is an evolution of what we were doing back in the 80s and early 90s to what today's technology could also leverage for us. So truly, the beauty is in the details. As you begin to unpack this watch, no pun intended, you begin to see the level of creativity, the level of engineering that was actually used to build this watch. The case actually helps in securing the movements of the watch. The watch doesn't have an actual crown. It actually has two knobs, one on the left and the right, one for winding the watch, replacing the crown, and the other one for setting the watch, also replacing the crown. Just a level of engineering that we just haven't seen or that we've only come to see from this type of house. I applaud them. I think overall the watch is interesting. The watch will get people talking about it. It's not for the common enthusiast, it's for someone unique. I think where they did drop the ball is probably not expanding on the utilization of the technology they were trying to use as far as the QR code. Being able to capture interviews, or it's able to unlock interviews that are related to the design and the building of the watch, I think is impressive. But I don't really see the connection to the metaverse, which was referenced by the president and the managing director for Bulgari. I don't see that connection yet, so I would have loved to learn a little bit more about that. And I also just think it's still kind of early. We haven't seen many watch brands go out here and try to connect with the metaverse or NFTs or things like that to watches. But it's great to see that we're still challenging ourselves in the watch industry, and telling time is still an interpretation of one's own creativity and mind. So thanks again for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you soon.